Today, we'll be watching a video discussing about Team USA because a lot of people have been talking smack about Team USA in the World Cup. But you know, we still got a chance. I believe that anything can happen in this World Cup. So let's just learn a little bit more about the USA team because I don't really know too much. And hopefully this video can teach me a lot more.
Maybe you think of Donald Trump or McDonald's, but they actually have a very unique place in football history.
Yes, and Pulisic's in there!
And Donovan has scored! Oh, can you believe it?
USA! And it's a goal! It stands! And it's the captain, Clint Dempsey. Pulisic lays it through. It's
Maybe their chants lack aura.
Oh god, yeah, yo, that's bad. Compared to the chants in Europe, bro, this is kind of bad, man. I feel like it's just like a cultural thing. Because like in America, like when you look at the stands and the crowds, they don't really get too energetic. Like the European fans, like they be having the torches, or not the torches, I forget what it's called. But it's like this fiery type thing that they shoot up in the sky or something. It's not fireworks. I can't think of the name right now. And the people just be jumping. The whole stadium be shaking like an earthquake. But I think it's just a cultural difference.
Are you serious right now, bro?
But their national team is filled with players starring for some of the biggest clubs in the world. Leading the way is Christian Pulisic. For years, he has been the face of US football.
I have a signed Christian Pulisic jersey. Plays for Chelsea FC team in the Premier League.
This guy's like the phenom guy, right? He's like the LeBron James of soccer.
Definitely.
Or should I call it soccer for this video? Nowadays,
Navan, the #1 rated business travel platform, lets your
Advertisement.
team book work travel in one place. Flights, hotels, cars.
at AC Milan, Pulisic has evolved a lot from the player that fans
Pulisic.
saw
Man, this is my first time hearing him. But man, I like that last name. Pulisic. Let's go, Pulisic.
at Borussia Dortmund. Back then, he was mainly known for his speed and dribbling. Today, he's a much smarter and more well-rounded attacker. He still has the ability to beat defenders one-on-one, but his decision-making, movement, and finishing have all improved with experience.
Pulisic.
And if defenders focus too much on stopping him, he's more than capable of creating chances for his teammates. If Pulisic is the star of the team, then Weston McKennie is the engine that keeps everything running. This guy's energy, aggression, and athleticism make him one of the most important players in the midfield. Though keep in mind, this dude can literally play in any position. He is the type of player coaches love because he'll do all the dirty work that often goes unnoticed. In Mauricio Pochettino's system, McKennie is so important to the midfield. He's expected to cover huge amounts of ground, help defensively, and win the battles in the middle of the pitch. But McKennie isn't just a defensive player. One of the best parts of his game is his ability to arrive in the box at the perfect moment. Time and time again, he makes these late runs that defenders fail to track, turning him into a genuine goal threat from midfield. On the left side, Robinson is vital to the national team, giving the team pace and constant attacking support. Very few fullbacks can recover as quickly as he can. Even when attackers get a step ahead of him, Robinson often has the speed to get back and make a challenge. That makes him incredibly valuable against top-level opposition. He's just as important going forward too. In Mauricio Pochettino's system, the fullbacks are expected to provide width and help stretch defenses. It's a 5-back when they defend, but when they go forward, it transforms into a 3-back. That's where Robinson thrives. He's constantly making overlapping runs, supporting the attack, and giving the US another option down the left side. His energy is endless. The guy has like a third lung or something. Then on the right is Serginho Dest. Dest loves getting involved in attacks. He's one of the most technical players in the squad and has the confidence to take on defenders almost anywhere on the pitch. Developed in Ajax's famous academy and now playing for PSV, Dest has built a reputation as a fullback who can create chances out of nothing. We got a glimpse of this back when he was playing for Barcelona.
Look at this dude.
He's comfortable dribbling in tight spaces, combining with his teammates around the box, and carrying the ball forward when the attack needs a spark. Sometimes he looks more like a winger than a defender, and that's what makes him such a unique player. At the back, Chris Richards arrives with a lot of confidence. This guy's been a beast for Crystal Palace as they won both the FA Cup in 2025 and the Conference League in 2026. For years, the US searched for a modern center back who could defend aggressively while also being comfortable on the ball. Richards has become that player. Defensively, he's strong in the air, difficult to beat in 1v1 situations, and reads the game well. Then on the ball, he's super comfortable playing line-breaking passes and is very press resistant. Tyler Adams remains so vital in the middle of the park. He does the dirty work in midfield and gives balance to the entire system. A lot of freedom given to players like Pulisic and Reyna comes from knowing that Adams is behind them, clearing things up. He's the player who holds everything together. When he's fit and available, the midfield becomes stronger, more organized, and much harder to play through. And up front, the United States has a lot of quality. Balogun will be expected to lead the line. The Monaco forward enters the World Cup as the team's starting striker and one of the most dangerous attackers in the squad. What makes Balogun special is his movement. He's constantly looking for space, making runs behind defenders, and putting himself in positions where he can convert chances into goals. Give this guy an opportunity inside the box, and he's usually pretty quick to get a shot away. That finishing ability was on full display throughout the season with Monaco. Balogun scored 19 goals in all competitions, and at one point found the net in 9 straight matches. When he gets into rhythm, he can be extremely difficult to stop. Ricardo Pepi arrives full of confidence after another strong season in Europe, and then there's also Gio Reyna, who is a great creator. He has excellent vision, really good passing, and the ability to create something out of nothing. He enters the tournament as the X factor for the US. Together, this group carries the entire hopes of the country. And with Mauricio Pochettino on the touchline and the American fans behind them, the expectations have never been higher. Can they do better than 3rd place, which is the greatest finish the US have ever had in a World Cup?
Wow, I did not know that. I've always thought that the USA has just been trash at football, but man, to think that we actually came in 3rd place, this might be our chance. This World Cup, yo, if we can get 3rd place, 2nd place, 1st place, oh my goodness. The USA about to go crazy. Like if the Knicks win and then we go crazy in the World Cup, yo, America gonna have to shut down, man. The streets are gonna get too lit.
Back in 1930. That's right. The United States has been here from the very beginning, participating in the first World Cup ever in 1930. Getting to the tournament wasn't easy, and I'm not talking about qualifying. The team spent 18 days traveling by steamship across the Atlantic just to reach Uruguay. The squad was made up of American players and immigrants from Britain who were playing football in local leagues along the East Coast. And surprisingly, this remains the most successful World Cup run in US history. The Americans opened the tournament with back-to-back 3-0 wins over Belgium and Paraguay, finishing top of their group and reaching the semifinals. One player in particular made history, a 20-year-old forward named Bert Patenaude. Against Paraguay, he scored 3 goals and became the first player ever to score a hat-trick at a World Cup. It was a record that would stand in history books forever. The dream eventually came to an end in the semifinals when Argentina defeated the United States 6-1. But despite that loss, the tournament still went down as the greatest World Cup performance the country has ever produced. Nearly a century later, no US team has managed to surpass what those pioneers achieved. 20 years later,
until now, 2026, this is our year, man. Team USA, we're about to go crazy.
The United States pulled off one of the biggest upsets in football history. At the 1950 World Cup, the Americans were drawn against England. And this wasn't just any England team. They were one of the strongest sides in the world and were expected to challenge for the trophy.
Stop watching this ad. Go to Wix and grab your domain name.
After missing the previous 3 tournaments, the perceived kings of football were coming to prove they were the world's best.
The United States, meanwhile, looked nothing like a football powerhouse. Many of the players had regular jobs outside the sport. Others had part-time jobs and were just trying to balance football with everyday life.
Keogh and the rest of the US team were amateurs. They've been given odds of 500 to 1 to win the tournament, and to many that seemed generous.
Nobody gave them a chance. But on June 29, 1950, something incredible happened. For most of the match, England attacked wave after wave, trying to break through the American defense. But the US refused to give in, and out of nowhere, they found themselves up 1-0. England kept pushing but could not find a way through. When the final whistle blew, the impossible had happened. The Yankees had beaten England 1-0. One of the greatest upsets in football history was complete. Yet back in the United States, this barely made headlines. Football, or soccer, was still a minor sport, and much of the country's attention was focused elsewhere. Reportedly, only one American journalist had even traveled to Brazil to cover the match. What should have been one of the biggest sporting stories in American history largely passed unnoticed. After that tournament, the United States disappeared from the World Cup stage for the next 40 years. The World Cup returned to the US in 1994, and in many ways this is where modern American football truly began. I'm sorry guys, I can't consistently call it soccer. I mean, the channel is called Pet Talks Football. Head coach Bora Milutinovic built a team that was disciplined, hardworking, and very difficult to break down. Nobody expected them to go very far. And then came Colombia. The match took place at the Rose Bowl in front of more than 94,000 fans. And what happened next changed American football forever. In the very first half, a dangerous American cross was accidentally turned into Colombia's own net. Suddenly, the US had the lead. Then came the moment that everyone remembers. The Americans broke forward on a perfect counterattack. Tab Ramos played a brilliant pass through the defense, Ernie Stewart ran onto it, and calmly finished to make it 2-0. The stadium erupted. The US eventually won 2-1, and the entire country started paying attention. That win helped send the Americans into the round of 16 and created one of the biggest moments in the history of the sport for the Americans. Their journey ended against Brazil. The eventual champions won 1-0 and knocked the Americans out. But by that point, the tournament had already changed everything. The World Cup proved that football could succeed in the US. And again, here I'm talking about actual football, not hand-egg. The success of the tournament helped lead to the creation of Major League Soccer. It was the beginning of a new era. If 1994 was the dream, then 1998 was the complete opposite. The US arrived in France with real confidence. This was a team that had performed well in the years leading up to the tournament, and many believed they could build on their success from 4 years earlier. Instead, everything fell apart. Behind the scenes, the dressing room was already dealing with major problems. Head coach Steve Sampson made the shocking decision to leave captain John Harkes out of the World Cup squad. At the time, very few people understood why. Later, it became clear that serious issues inside the locker room had damaged team chemistry long before the tournament even began. Then things only got worse on the pitch. Just weeks before the World Cup, Sampson abandoned the system that the team had spent years developing and introduced a completely new formation. Naturally, the players looked uncomfortable, the tactics looked confusing, and the results reflected it. The US lost their opening game to Germany 2-0 and suddenly found themselves under pressure. Then came one of the most famous matches in World Cup history. The US against Iran. This was much bigger than football. Years of political tension between the two countries created enormous attention around the game. Fast forward and nothing has changed. I mean, could you imagine if the USA and Iran go head to head again, this time in the new modern day social media era? Before kickoff, the players exchanged flowers as a gesture of respect and peace. But once the match started, the Americans struggled badly. Iran took the lead before halftime. The US pushed forward looking for a response, but in doing so left huge gaps at the back. Iran took advantage and scored a second goal late in the game. A late goal from Brian McBride gave the Americans hope for a few minutes, but it wasn't enough. The US lost 2-1, and with that defeat, they were effectively out of the tournament. A final loss to Yugoslavia completed the disaster. 3 games, 3 defeats. The international version of Tottenham, bottom of the entire World Cup. For a team that arrived with so much optimism, it was a terrible collapse. Shortly after the World Cup ended, Steve Sampson resigned, and American football was left trying to figure out how things had gone so wrong so quickly. After the disaster of 1998, the US needed a fresh start. And that's exactly what happened in 2002. Under Bruce Arena, the team found the right balance between experienced veterans and some exciting young talents. Players like Claudio Reyna, Brian McBride, and Ernie Stewart brought leadership, while youngsters like Landon Donovan and DeMarcus Beasley brought a lot of energy and pace. The tournament could not have started any better. In their opening game, the Americans faced Portugal, one of the strongest teams in the competition. That was during the golden generation of Portuguese players. Almost nobody expected the US to win. Then the game started. The Americans came out flying. Their aggressive pressing completely caught Portugal by surprise. Just over half an hour into the match, the US were somehow leading 3-0. The football world couldn't believe what it was seeing. Portugal fought back late, but the Americans held on for a famous 3-2 win. It was one of the biggest wins in US football history. After surviving the group stage, the reward was a round of 16 clash versus Mexico. For American fans, this was the biggest game imaginable. The rivalry between these guys was intense. It still is intense. The pressure was enormous, but the US delivered. Brian McBride gave them an early lead, and later Landon Donovan headed home a second goal to seal a 2-0 win. It was one of the most satisfying wins the program had ever experienced. They loved dunking on the taco-loving Mexicans. Then came the Germans in the quarterfinals, and to this day many American fans still wonder what could have happened. Germany took the lead through Michael Ballack, but the US refused to back down. In fact, for large parts of the match, you could argue that the Americans were the better team. Then came the moment that everyone remembers. A US shot appeared to be stopped on the goal line by the hand of German defender Torsten Frings. The Americans screamed for a penalty, but nothing was given. Play continued. The goal never came, and the US lost 1-0. Just like that, the dream was over. But even in defeat, the tournament changed how people viewed America when it came to football. I mean, the US had beaten Portugal, they had beaten the quesadilla-loving Mexicans, and they had even pushed the schnitzel-loving Germans all the way. For the first time in the modern era, the world could see that Americans were capable of competing with football's biggest nations. The 2010 World Cup gave American football fans one of the most iconic moments ever. Under Bob Bradley, look at that shiny bald head, the US had developed a habit of making life difficult for themselves before finding a way back. They drew 1-1 with England, then came a 2-2 draw against Slovenia after fighting back from 2 goals down. That left everything riding on the final group game against Algeria. Anything besides a win and the tournament was over. For 90 frustrating minutes, the US attacked relentlessly. You know, the complete opposite of Arsenal. They hit the post, had chances saved, and even saw a goal controversially ruled out. As stoppage time arrived, elimination was only seconds away. Then came the moment that every American fan remembers.
Numbers, Altidore squares it, Dempsey's missed it, Donovan has it!
The goal sent the US to the top of their group. Unfortunately, they ended up losing to Ghana in the round of 16. 4 years later came another memorable World Cup, this time in Brazil. Jurgen Klinsmann's team was placed in the dreaded group of death, alongside Germany, Portugal, and Ghana. Many people expected the Americans to go home early. Instead, they fought their way through. The opening match against Ghana produced another iconic moment, with Clint Dempsey scoring after just 29 seconds. Then after Ghana equalized late, substitute defender John Brooks rose highest from a corner and headed home the winner. The Americans eventually reached the round of 16 and faced Belgium. That's where Tim Howard delivered the performance of his life. Wave after wave of Belgian attacks came towards the American goal, and Howard kept saving them again and again and again. By the end of the match, he had made 16 saves, a World Cup record that still stands today. Now the US...
That's actually crazy. Wow. Shout out, what's his name? Tim Howard. Yo, this video is amazing, man. I'm learning so much about the history.
Eventually lost 2-1 after extra time, but Howard's performance became legendary. Then came Qatar in 2022. This was a very different American team. Young, talented, and largely inexperienced at the highest level. Many of the players who lead the team today were just beginning their World Cup journeys then. Now the US successfully made it through a difficult group featuring England, Wales, and Iran. These group drawings have to be rigged. How did the US constantly get one of their biggest opponents politically? Against Iran, Christian Pulisic threw his body on the line to score the winning goal that sent the Americans into the knockout rounds. Now the tournament eventually ended with a loss of the Netherlands, but that tournament helped the team gain a lot of experience. Now, 4 years later, many of those same players return as leaders rather than prospects. They also return with a better manager in Mauricio Pochettino, somebody who has succeeded at the highest level of European football. But to be fair, the whole World Cup is a bit of a mess. There are so many new players to look out for, new rules. You need a guide, and I made the perfect one for you right here. Check it out. When you think
that video right there was absolutely beautiful to my eyes, man. I wasn't expecting it to go so much about the history. I was just thinking it was just going to talk about the current team, but man, I learned so much about the USA's team with football, seeing our legacy, seeing the great players that we have had in the past, and even now we got Pulisic, we got McKinney. Man, those are the two names I know right now. But as of the World Cup comes, I'm gonna know a much more players on the team. And this is a powerful video, man. To anyone that's doubting, man, about Team USA, hopefully after this video you believe just like me that Team USA is going to shock the world, man. We're about to do great things in the World Cup. And thank you for viewing this video. I'll see y'all in the next one.